Hi, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm Mikey.
And I'm CJ. Folks, we're going to be talking about the top cartoons of the 2000s. This would be 2000 to 2010 or current.
That's why I'm using my real name. I'm very passionate about this.
Oh, because you're current now.
Yes.
Very passionate.
There we go. Well, except for the 90s cartoons when I used a different name.
Okay, and here's the deal. I was able to cobble together 5.
I have 2.
There we go.
I have a top 2. That's
because this is the end of our. I mean, I was basically done. So a lot of my stuff, I was able to cobble it together, but we were basically done with the cartoons. But CJ was actually big. Yeah, he was actually big into the cartoons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's one of those things that you can't really speak, generation to generation, right? So, I can't speak for the generation that's coming up right now and say, hey, those cartoons are, terrible, But, they'll grow up and say, these cartoons were great, blah, blah. But yeah, speaking as, from the
those
totally,
cartoons kids are watching today
yeah,
suck.
They're stupid. They're so stupid. They're barely cartoons. They're a joke compared to the cartoons that I watch.
Let me ask you this question, Mikey. 80s or 90s cartoons? Which one was better?
Oh, in my opinion, 80s by far.
80s by far. Okay.
I'll give you that the 80s had some of the best debut cartoons and gave us some of the best things that we haven't experienced as far as animated shows go. But for me, the 90s holds a nostalgia factor, so I have to give it the edge.
All right. Well,
and that'd probably be the same reason I give the 80s.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and start with your number 5, CJ. I'm gonna let you go first. I'll go second. And then you jump in.
Well, let me ask you a question.
In about 30 minutes, y'all hear from me again.
Okay.
Okay. Let me ask you a question before we go into this.
Yes.
Are we just talking 2000s kids cartoons? Because the thing about the 2000s is cartoons were a little more mature.
Any
Sure,
cartoon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
As long as it's animated.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, the first cartoon I'm going to put up for my top 5 is going to be Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Okay.
It was. I don't know if you guys ever watched this one. It was this great idea for this little kid named. It was a foster home for kids who have imaginary friends, but they grow up and those imaginary friends go away from them, and that's their foster home. So you have this orphanage kind of foster home with these weird, strange creatures that are all imaginary friends of children.
Is this for psychopaths?
But no, it's a great little show. It's called Foster's Home.
Whatever happened to the good old days when just robots turned into cars and battled each other?
It was, but see, that's what I'm saying. In the 2000s, there was
kids
a
got
little
issues
more,
today.
Now we got animated orphanages.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was a little more mature. It was. I think cartoons kind of grew up with the kids from the 90s, because they had some jokes there again that were kind of aimed at an older crowd. And but it was still relatable for children because he farted.
Well, it's funny you say that because most of my top 5 is adult cartoons, basically. For instance, I'll just go ahead and get to number 5. It's Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of that show. I own the first 7 or 8 seasons. Even the movie I thought was good.
That's my number 4, so let's talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, that's your number 4 too?
Yeah.
It was a great show. I stopped watching back in 2010 when I never even watched them live. I just bought them when they came out on DVD because I knew I was always going to love them. But then, I think it was 2010, I didn't laugh at a single episode unless, what's his name? Their neighbor. Carl was on it.
Where's my paper?
I only was laughing at Carl, and then that's when I realized, oh man, this show's not getting funny anymore.
See, I think if you can be fair about it because it was called Aqua Teen Hunger Force until a certain point, and they started changing the titles.
Oh, what'd they call it?
Well, weird stuff like Aqua Force Go, weird stuff. They started changing the titles, Team Hunger Go Force now. Or
I know they never. I think on the very first episode they focused as a team.
Yeah.
And fought crime, but after that, they said, we don't need this. We just want to make stupid adventures. And that's what made it fun.
Oh, it was, man, I enjoyed, one of my favorite episodes of all time is when the Moonanites showed up. I mean, and that had...
The Mennonites? What?
Moonanites.
Oh. Holy cow. What? Dang, this show is for adults.
That was quite a lesson in that episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned a little something.
Yeah, war in the Middle East.
Yeah. It was
whatever.
No, but I thought it was good, but Carl was really the only reason I was watching it at that point.
Yes.
And I thought, well, if Carl's not in it, then I'm not going to like it anymore. Because I used to love all the characters, and they used to be humorous, but then they just got not humorous to me.
Right.
And I still love the DVDs I have. I wouldn't give them up for the world, but other than that, I'm kind of right where I want to be with. I don't know. Is it still going on today?
Yeah, they're still making it.
Okay.
I don't think it's under the Aqua Teen Hunger Force name. I think
right.
They're changing the names, of course. But,
right.
But yeah, and also I'd like to throw this in real quick. I do have a top 5 anime because anime was huge, getting really big in the 2000s.
Well, I'll let you get to your top 5 anime.
That's fine. I'll run it down.
You got it.
Since I'm the kind of the only one that watches.
And just for those that don't know, the Mennonites are Christian groups based around the church communities of Anabaptist denominations named after Menno Simmons of Freeland.
So go to church, you heathens, and you learn something.
Wow. Okay, so that was your number 4, right?
Yeah. Aqua Team is number 4.
So let me just go ahead and get to my number 4. Okay. I hope we're not repeating our list here. If so, I'm going to let you go next.
We won't.
I have Justice League.
You know, it is a good one. It is a good one. I don't have it on my list. But
you don't have it on your list.
But it is good.
I do. I saw this way later. I think after you had me watch Batman Beyond, I went ahead and watched Justice League. No, you actually said they finished Batman Beyond's story in the Justice League. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go ahead and watch Justice League. The first season was okay. And Justice League Unlimited, even better. Yes. And I remember people telling me about this show, like grown adults telling me this was just one of the best things.
Justice League Unlimited is really good.
Ever.
Yes.
And as I started watching it, I was like, oh, okay, this is very good. And it got to be better and better and better, especially when they came up with some of the most random superheroes in Unlimited that I even didn't know. I had to look them up to make sure they were DC. Are these DC characters? Yeah, old DC characters and stuff.
Yeah, and see, Warner Brothers, they're pumping out another DC cartoon. You still have Kevin Conroy voicing Batman.
And that was the thing that gives it validity for me, is because I feel like it's an extension of the Batman cartoon.
Yes.
Due to Kevin Conroy. I never watched the Superman cartoon. I don't like Superman really, but with Batman I followed him all the way through, so I enjoyed that. And I love the Batman Beyond episode. It was very good.
Yeah, I feel about the same way with Superman. Like I can't watch Superman cartoons on their own, but I can watch some Justice League Unlimited.
Now, no one else got their own little spin-off, did they, from Justice League? There never was a Wonder Woman cartoon, was there?
I don't think so.
Okay, from that era.
Yeah.
There may have been one in the 70s. But
there was, I don't know how connected it is, but later on, and it's really new, so we don't have to bring it and talk about it very much, but there was Young Justice.
I have no idea. I just know I stopped after Unlimited.
Yeah. Okay, all right, yeah. Young
but
Justice.
I thought that was a good that was a good cartoon. Now, I watched it past the day. I mean, I watched it probably just a couple of years ago, but it did take place back then, and I thought it was a fantastic cartoon.
It was a great. I loved it. It's not on my list, not because I don't like it. I don't know. I guess I didn't think about it.
Because you hate Kevin Conroy, so.
Oh, but no. Yeah, everyone knows that.
Yeah, I know.
I look at my T-shirt that he signed for me and wring my fist in anger.
All right.
And I also I thought about putting He-Man and Masters of the Universe on there, but it just doesn't beat the original for me.
Oh, I don't. Is any remake better? My buddy Bruce told me that the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beats out the old one.
What? Oh, you mean the new animated series?
The newer one.
Oh, you're not talking about the movie. Okay.
No. He's talking about the cartoon series.
I will say it's right up there with me though, because I didn't give it a chance, but then I started watching it, and it's a lot of the it's got two of the same voice actors from the 90s and 80s cartoons.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of the same jokes, a lot of the same feel for humor that it did. So it's actually it is really good.
Okay. You tell Bruce from that Princes of the Universe podcast that he don't know nothing about no 80s Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay. I'll tell him. I'll let him know. We have a Ninja Turtle.
Do you have any list for this?
Oh, he's got two, but he's going to get to his in a minute.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So you go ahead and get to number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is going to be Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack. I'm sure everybody listening to this knows about Samurai Jack, and if you don't, go give it a watch. I'll give it, you guys, go give it a watch. Samurai Jack was a, the guy who did Powerpuff Girls? This is a show that he did, and it's about a samurai who gets, time, transported to the apocalyptic future.
Is his name Jack?
His name is Jack.
Oh, okay.
Samurai Jack. But anyway, no, it's, he has to battle the shape-shifting wizard Aku.
I want to say the guy that created that, or the main artist that drew that, also did the Clone Wars, I want to say.
I think so.
I read about that somewhere.
Which is my number 3. I'm picking Jindy Tartarsky, right?
Yes.
I'm picking his cartoon, too. I never saw Samurai Jack. All I hear is good things about it. And I heard he brought the same style to the Clone Wars. And I think the Clone Wars cartoon is brilliant. I think he did an amazing job. I was blown away watching those cartoons.
It's pretty interesting coming from you, because most things, pop culture, Star Wars, after the first 3 movies, you really can't get behind.
A lot. No, the prequels I'm okay with. I'm not big on, but that cartoon was well done. I remember watching that because that came out before the 3rd movie, and so that was basically the only thing we had in between the movies that was coming out on TV. And instead of making it this big 30-minute regular show, he said, no, all I need is 3 minutes for this episode. Okay, this one's going to go 7. All right, this one's going to go back to 5. He only told the story that he needed to tell. And great animation, great stories. I was actually very, very pleased with that series.
Is that still on? Like, don't they have what different Star Wars series?
They have Star Wars Rebels is what it is now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't watch that
one.
And
I don't know much about it.
Clone Wars was very critically acclaimed, though. I mean, it was on for a while, wasn't it?
Now, that you're talking about Dave Filoni's Clone Wars.
Oh, that's 2 different ones?
That's a different one. His was CGI. This was an actual cartoon.
Okay.
Drawn cartoon. And the hand-drawn cartoon is far superior, in my opinion. It only went 2 seasons. But that's because, Episode 3 was coming out, and they thought they were done doing Clone Wars stories. But it is really, really good. I'm a big fan of animation over CGI. I think they can do good CGI shows. There's nothing against CGI shows.
Hand-drawn stuff.
But I love the hand-drawn stuff.
I do too.
And I think that series is really good. I'm actually watching again to do an upcoming review on it on my channel. But anyway, so that's kind of funny. Our lists are coinciding there.
Yeah, you didn't think you'd have any lists there, but
I didn't know. But look at that. All right, so number 2.
Number 2 is going to be Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, man. Just basically for the nostalgia. I mean, I remember spending my summers at home, and before I would go outside and swim or jump on the trampoline or both, jump off of the trampoline into the swimming pool. And, I would
on your stomach.
Yeah, I would sit on the couch and watch the Ed, Ed, and Eddie reruns with those Rice Krispie treats they used to make that were like mini.
Yeah.
Do you remember those? What were they called?
Mini Rice Krispie treats?
I don't know. But they were kind of like Rice Krispies answer to like potato chips. I used to eat those until my stomach would hurt, and then I'd go swim again.
Sounds delicious.
Wow.
But Ed, Ed, and Eddie, yeah. No, it was a fun little show. It has just these absurd plots to every episode, and then they actually tie up the series.
That's fun. Now that's your number 2, right?
That's number 2.
Incredible, because I saw like half an episode of Ed, Ed, and Eddie, and I thought it sucked.
Yeah. But if I watched it now,
But of course, like I said, yeah, different age, different.
I have
different
a fondness
time
for that cartoon.
No, I understand. That's fine. I can't knock it because I was way too older.
Don't take a number 2 on my number 2, please.
I will not. In fact, my number 2 is Invader Zim.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The wife wanted me to mention that one. She was a huge Zim fan.
I am a huge Zim fan too. It was actually my brother who got me to watch it. It was coming up. He's a big Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which is the comic book that the man wrote before creating this cartoon series. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac is not as good as Invader Zim. Invader Zim has much more humor, much lighter humor, of course. And I thought it was actually very, very funny. I know that show got high ratings.
It did
back in the day. Why didn't it continue though? It was very short lived.
I really don't know. She might be able to tell you, but I know that like when I first met her, she had like Invader Zim shoelaces, wearing like Vans high tops.
And you knew she was the one.
She was the one.
So speaking of CJ's missus, I thought she was going to be here today to talk about cartoons with us. So what happened?
She couldn't make it today because she had a headache.
Oh, there you are. I forgot you were at the table, Mikey.
Hey, guys.
What's number 2?
All right. So I don't have anything against the newer cartoons at all. They just don't interest me. Like, I can't really get behind them for whatever reason. Like, a lot of them, like you said, are more adult. There's more mature stuff. I don't know. Like, for me, it's just... there's a disconnect, and so I respect everybody that loves cartoons out there. The only 2 that I have, my number 2 is not really a cartoon per se, but it is animated, and it's Robot Chicken. It's a stop motion animation.
That's an interesting pick. Okay.
So I love Robot Chicken.
I like Robot Chicken too, but I thought they ran out of ideas after season 2.
When it was, to me, when Robot Chicken was fresh, I liked it.
Well, yeah, like because it's been around for a while, and since kind of the mid to early 2000s.
I mean, I bought the first 2 seasons, and I thought about season 3, and I said, no, I'm good.
And here's the deal, though, with my list, though. Like, I don't ever watch Robot Chicken. Like, if I'll catch some, I like the Christmas episodes. I like the Star Wars episodes.
Well, that's the thing. They'll have like a certain episode that you'll just love to hear about. So, I mean, there's little parts and pieces like that, but as a whole...
That's how weak that the newer cartoons are to me, is that I don't even watch really my number 2. But I like it because it is a kind of almost like a sketch comedy, very pop culture spoof type stuff.
Yeah.
And I really think that they have some funny stuff on there. Whenever they're on their game, it's really funny to see a bunch of superheroes spoofed. Yeah. And then when they started getting more popular, to actually have... these real life voice actors come on, real life actors portray themselves and stuff, and when it becomes like this uber violent, crazy spoof upon a spoof with the real people spoofing themselves in animated form, like that can be funny.
I thought it was cool that they were playing with like action figures, and some of the action figures that I spotted on that show were ones that I had growing up.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, I had that. So I kind of thought that was great. I like the Voltron episode because. As a matter of fact, I think it was all clay, but my brother and I had a full, it was a cast metal Voltron set. You had all the lions, and they would turn into Voltron.
Nice. I miss my cast iron Voltron set. I have a plastic one, but not the old iron one. The metal ones. Yeah, the metal one was so much fun to play with.
Oh, dude, they were incredible. Like you could throw them off the roof, and they would be fine.
I think. That's back when toys were toys and men were men.
As we get older, I sound more and more like my dad. And that's a lesson for you kids out there. You may not think it now, but as you get older, you will remember. Yeah. There'll come a day where it'll be like, dang it, I've turned into my dad.
And the minute it happens is when you ask what the thermostat's set on. That's the minute it happens.
And where's my raisin bran?
No. I think that moment happens when you start realizing when gas drops by a penny or two, and you're like, yes, it dropped. It's down. Yeah. Hey, you call someone. Gas is down 2 cents today. Bye.
Drive an extra 6 blocks just to save a cent. It's $2.98, not $2.99.
Cheap bastard. But no, you walk in the house, you're like, wait, it's hot. What's that thermostat set on? Is there a window open? We're throwing money out the window.
Yeah. Close the window. You let all the good air out.
All the good air out.
Don't stand in front of the refrigerator with the door open.
Just take $4.
Or you're raising a barn, shut the door.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'll tell you real quick before we move on. The reason I like Robot Chicken so much, there's a Star Wars episode. This is how clever they are to me, and they don't ever give you any type of explanation as to their jokes. Either you get it or you don't, and I love that. In the Star Wars episode, they just show Luke go into a strip club, and the strip club is just called the Tashi Station. And you see him walking through the doors, and it says the Tashi Station. And then whenever you hear on the loudspeaker right before the scene ends, coming next to the stage, the power converters. And then it goes to the the little blackout, the little whatever fuzzy screen, and then it goes to the next skit. And I laugh so hard at the cleverness of that idea. That alone right there makes Robot Chicken worth it.
What about this one? I thought you were going to talk about when Boba Fett and Lando are sitting there on Bespin and they're looking at Boba Fett's ship, and Lando goes, "Nice ship. Not too crazy about the name, though." That's it.
Yeah. They just move on. That's it. They just move on.
The Star Wars episodes are honestly the best.
They are the best.
They are the best because they're that witty. They don't explain the joke. They just move on. And you're right. You either get it or you miss it, and they move on.
Right.
They don't go back.
I love that.
Love it. All right. What is number 1?
Your number 1 show of the 2000s, CJ.
Cartoons, huh?
My goodness.
Home movies.
What?
Home movies.
Like you made home movies?
No.
I don't want to talk about all the home movies that you've made.
With Bob Saget?
No. Home movies. Okay, so you watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force on Adult Swim.
Okay.
So you never heard of home movies?
I have never heard of home movies.
Okay.
Not a show.
Home movies chronicles this little 8-year-old named Brendan Small, who makes these. He wants to be a great film director when he grows up. So him and his little buddies make homemade movies, and it's just the.
Wait, is this? You're talking about that movie Super 8, aren't you?
Not Super 8.
That's what you're trying to do.
Oh,
you're trying to pander some J.J. Abrams on me.
No, it's Home Movies. It's called Home Movies. It's on Adult Swim, and it was from John Benjamin was in the cast, and it was made by Brendan Small is the lead character, and I don't know how to describe it since you guys haven't seen it. Did you ever watch Dr. Katz? Are you aware of it?
Yeah, I'm aware of Dr. Katz.
Okay, so it's kind of that same animation format.
Okay.
And it's got John Benjamin was in Dr. Katz, and he's in Home Movies.
Okay.
And basically, you have a lot of the dialogue between the characters is unscripted, and it's just them talking to each other, and they animate it, and it's a very clever show, and it's very well done, and it was #1 for me. I loved it. I laughed every episode.
Huh. I've never even heard of that show. That's wild.
Give it a watch, man. It's because it's completely unscripted.
Well, I mean, I know it sounds interesting, but I'm gonna be honest. My #1 is the same as Mikey's.
Oh, really?
So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Well, no, that was his #2.
Oh, well, right.
Yeah, our #1 is obviously Family Guy.
No.
Okay.
Yes, you are so wrong.
And all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV. But where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely? I love Family Guy. It's still on today, still runs. I never watch it live. I just wait for DVD and go ahead and buy it because I know I'm going to love it.
What's so great about that, talking about Adult Swim, we were just on Adult Swim. Adult Swim is the reason Family Guy came back.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
And I think that right there.
That right high there, DVD sales of the first two.
Yeah, for sure. But that right there speaks at how animation in the 90s, how it was growing up, directly affected animation in the 2000s.
Oh, no, I strongly agree that every previous decade
it's just cartoons got better and
impacted cartoons going forward.
Yeah.
However, if it were not for Adult Swim, the new cartoons that are out for kids are not as intelligent, I don't think, are not as funny, are not as story-driven. I know that sounds stupid to say that DuckTales was story-driven, but it was.
Well, I mean, we live in a YouTube culture where, people can't pay attention for more than 2 minutes on cartoons.
I think we just got lucky. I think that we got lucky to live in this pocket of time where the board games we played, the video games we played, the cartoons that we watched, the toys that we played with were all of the same popular zeitgeist of the time. I mean, Pac-Man crossed so many platforms. Everybody knows who Pac-Man is. Everybody knows who He-Man is. Everybody knows who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in, who they are, whether they're your mom, whether they were on a T-shirt, whether they were a video game, whether they were a cartoon, whether they were a toy. You don't see that same type of pop culture explosion that you do these days. I mean, if you look right now, what are popular cartoons now? Venture Brothers, things like that, yada yada. I mean, most people don't really know who that is, it doesn't cross platforms, and it's not like a generation defining thing. Whereas when we were growing up, it was generation defining characters everywhere.
True.
And it's very different. It's very hard.
Venture Brothers, by the way,
just about everyone was a pop culture reference,
right?
A future pop culture reference.
Venture Brothers would be on my top 5, but it's still going, so I'm gonna,
Well, I know Family Guy was still going, but Mikey and I just couldn't resist putting that as our #1.
Well, the thing is, Family Guy, they started, in the early 2000s gap we're talking about. Venture Brothers it was the bulk of its time.
Yeah, I mean, the bulk of its
time is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I think you're fair with the Family Guy. So I know you like the Family Guy. I love the Family Guy.
Mikey loathes it.
Well, actually, I don't know if I should use the word loathe.
He loathes life.
Well, there are some times at Family Guy I will laugh. There are pockets of their clips. There's tidbits of this show that I watch, and I'm like, man, that's hilarious. That dadgum minute and a half, and then there's Maud, that whole he's just waiting for it to get to Maud.
The thing is, there's so many pop culture references in that from the 80s,
and I love that stuff.
That I thought that this would be a show for you. And we talked about this a while back. That I was shocked that you didn't like it because that's really a lot of their basis is going back to old commercials. Like you say, just like Robot Chicken doesn't explain it. There's one episode where just out of the blue, Brian's talking, part of the dialogue, part of the story set up, and a little coach and horse buggy pass by him. It's the old Gravy Train commercial.
Yeah.
And he runs into the cabin and bangs his head, goes, dadgummit, or whatever. And then the story goes back to normal. If you didn't catch that pop cultural reference from an old commercial, you were like, that was weird.
I don't know what it is.
I didn't know that.
I like that type of stuff. I mean, that's what I live for, and I don't know why I do not like it. And actually, I give a shout out to Wendy because I feel like Okay, I'll connect the dots here for you. I feel like the thing I don't like about Family Guy is I don't like Brian and I don't like Stewie. I think that those two characters are written to try too hard to be they're like pandering for laughs. Like that's just my opinion on it, and I just don't like them. But I do like whoever the main character's name is. Peter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Peter's kind of funny, because and then Lois, I guess, is the wife's name. Or
yes.
She's kind of funny, and then like the dealings with the kids are funny or fine or whatever here and there. But that other side part of the show, I just do not like for whatever reason. I cannot get behind it. And the reason I bring up Wendy is because I'm constantly telling Wendy how absolutely brilliant and perfect of a show Modern Family is. And she will not give it a chance because she cannot stand Sofia Vergara. And I'm like, Sofia Vergara, her character is a little annoying on the show. She's supposed to be, but like you're not giving the best comedy on TV, in my opinion. You're not giving them.
It is a good show. It's a really good show.
You're not giving that a fair shot just because you don't like one person in it. And so like I understand like the hypotheticalness, if you will, of not hypotheticalness. The what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocrisy, of me not doing it with Family Guy, but I just can't. I don't know what it is. Like I like the mod thing, and I like that big long fight he has with the guy in the chicken costume.
But at least you're right. That's what I'm saying. But at least you're enough to give it a chance to say, I like this. I like this part about it.
Brian and Stewie had the old vaudeville travel episodes every once in a while.
We're on the road to Rhode Island.
It's just fantastic. I just don't think, the musicals. In fact, my wife had never seen what was the show that Music Man. But when they started singing a song from Music Man, she went, "Oh, this is from the episode of Family Guy." Because Family Guy incorporates a lot of Broadway in their episodes.
Yes, they do.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the song that Peter Griffin sang." And it was fantastic because that's how she realized, "Oh yeah, Music Man. Okay, I have heard this music from Family Guy." So it's a little bit of highbrow culture in there too. So I can appreciate the show, the many facets they connect to and reach out to. That it's a much smarter show than just poop jokes.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So, what's number one then?
Well, my number one is kind of obvious if you really think about it. In my opinion, it's not really a 2000s show, but I mean, the majority of the episodes have been in 2000. So, I mean, with our criteria, it works. I watched it from episode 1 when it premiered in 97, and it, defined a generation and started an entire TV station. And it's still on today, and that's South Park.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I look at South Park as a 90s show because that's when I first saw it.
You're right. I think it would be.
But I mean, but only 3 seasons. Now, but only 3 seasons of it were in the 90s.
Right. So it's hard
still on now. So 10 full seasons of it were in the 2000s.
Right. What do you do? I mean,
so it's kind of like The Simpsons, where it just kind of keeps going and going, and it's hard to put it in any specific.
No, you can put it in this one. That's fine. That's the biggest decade right now.
It is the biggest decade.
So
5 have been in 2000s.
That's where it would fit right now.
Right.
Yeah. If that's the case, South Park is up there for me.
South Park to me, and it's kind of funny how I don't like Family Guy all that much, but I love South Park, and there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And because the main guys behind them are very similar in their humor and also with their musical background. But the thing that hits with me with South Park is their unrelenting attack on every single person out there.
No one's safe.
Right. Nobody is safe. And what's cool to me about South Park is that every once in a while you'll get maybe somebody in the news or a congressman or a parent or somebody will flare up about a particular episode, but then it kind of dies down real quick. But if you consistently watch South Park, South Park is one of the most offensive shows that has ever been on TV.
Oh yeah.
But it gets a pass, it always gets a pass, and I love that because that stuff should get a pass. I mean, they're just making fun of things. They make fun of everybody. They're like equal opportunity offenders, and I think that's the reason why they get by.
And I love a good satire, and that's South Park. It's just satire, and it's satire at its best.
It is satire at its best. Even things that they love, their niche episodes. One of my very favorite episodes is that one that we've watched numerous times. Is that the anime one, where like the whole thing is,
hey, let's go Kinkasu!
Yeah, it's all drawn in like anime style, but they nail it.
Yep.
They nail it. And but another thing, have you ever watched this making of South Park kind of documentary thing?
No.
Or whatever?
Going down to South Park?
Yeah, maybe that's the name of it. It's on Netflix, and they show you exactly how they come up with the ideas and how
not the same one.
And how they do the episodes and what happened. The reason why South Park is so unique, and because it's done unlike any other cartoon or actually any other TV show that's ever been done before. And the reason why something can be in the news and you'll hear it on South Park the next week, that's because on Thursday morning, or they air on Wednesday night. On Thursday morning, they get together and they start putting their ideas together for the next week's show. So on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they write the script, they pull the ideas, they storyboard, and then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning, they draw it and they animate it and they voice it. So on Wednesday morning, before it airs that night, they finish it and turn it into Comedy Central. And they've done that for, 18, 19 years now.
Yeah.
And only one time in history, and this was just maybe a year or two ago, did they not meet their deadline because they couldn't get it ready. But that's what they do. That's on a weekly basis. And that's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
That's why something can happen with the president, or something can happen, whatever. And it can be on South Park.
That's what that episode's about within a week.
Within a week. And so they can stay right on top of pop culture. And it's hilarious to me like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very interesting documentary. But I just love Trey Parker's humor. Like everything that Trey Parker has done, from Orgasmo to Cannibal the Musical to South Park the movie.
Basketball.
Basketball's fantastic. Yeah.
Basketball's great.
Team America World Police is one of my top 10 funniest movies I've ever seen.
Oh my
The Book of
God.
Mormon is one of my top 3 Broadway shows that I've ever seen or heard. Like he just has it. Like he has that it factor of clever, rude, crude, but simplistic at the same time. Like a lot of his humor is just very simplistic, but it's so simplistic and juvenile that it's actually like mature and not immature.
Wow.
Love it.
All right, so CJ, your top 5 anime.
Oh boy. So here's the thing. The ripple effects of Toonami from 1997 are still being felt in the early 2000s, because I'm going to give you a name that no one heard of until anime started to become popular. Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah.
He is responsible for Spirited Away. He's got Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. I can keep going on. Yeah, and Totoro.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody would really care about what's going on with this if anime hadn't been popularized a little more off Cartoon Network and Toonami. Mm-hmm. Disney it's a part of Disney. The Ghibli Studios, where they collaborated. They brought it over here. I think Spirited Away even won an Academy Award. Is that right? I can't remember. It was either Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle. Either way, you have Miyazaki. He brought us some of the most amazing, and I won't even call it just anime. It's just some of the most beautiful animated stories that you will see. Anybody listening to this, I'm sure you've seen one Miyazaki. If you've only seen one, go watch another. And matter of fact, go watch all of them. Porco Rosso is my personal favorite. But then ask me tomorrow, and it might be
Kiki's Delivery Service.
Kiki's Delivery Service. Yes.
Wendy's girls, all 3 of her girls love
Princess. Yeah, I mean, look.
That's how I saw Totoro, because they made me watch it.
And look,
Ponyo.
Exactly, and the Miyazaki animation will make you feel something. You know, he puts a lot of effort into his stories, and they will make you feel something.
It'll make you feel really confused, but then at the same time, but at the same time, it'll make you feel really good confused.
Totoro will make you confused, okay? But
the cat bus, all right?
Yeah, right. Okay, cat bus. Look, Totoro is an awesome show by itself. It makes you it puts you in a weird mood, and there are some influences you can be under to make it even better. I'll leave that to the imagination. Moving on, anime. So let's talk about shows in the 2000s.
Yes.
Anime shows in the 2000s were, in my opinion, the best. There are some good ones right now. But I'm going to just go ahead and go with top 5. And there are 5 number 1s, except for my number 1, which we call number 1 plus. Wolf's Rain. You guys haven't heard of Wolf's Rain? Okay. No. Wolf's Rain kind of is the story of Jesus Christ. But it's set with these characters who are, they look like people to like us, but they're actually wolves. They're like these noble wolf characters. But if you go and you watch the whole story, it's about. I'm not going to give it away. Just watch it. It parallels the story of Jesus Christ. Okay. Honestly,
all right.
If you go back and you just look at it in its roots, Wolf's Rain.
Wolf's Rain.
Full Metal Alchemist. Is that a name you've heard? Have you heard of that? I'm sure you've heard Full Metal Alchemist.
I have not.
Full Metal Alchemist is an absolutely incredible story. It's about these two brothers that use the power of alchemy to try to bring back their mother that died and left them orphans. And they study alchemy at a very young age, and they try to bring her back from the afterlife.
That sounds like an episode of Buffy.
Yeah. So they're trying to do so. His brother Alphonse loses his entire body. He almost dies. And Edward tries to pull him back from...
Spoiler alert.
No, it happens in the first episode.
Oh.
Yeah. He tries to pull them back, and he loses his arm and his leg. So him and his brother are on a quest to get not only their bodies back, but their mother. So they go through this entire series trying to get this back. It's got a lot of politics in it. It's a very grown-up show. And it's another one that kind of tugs at the heartstrings at the very end. Samurai Champloo. Shinichiro Watanabe is the guy who created Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, and more recently Space Dandy. Shinichiro is he's one of those guys that kind of blends two things together that you don't think work, but they do.
Kind of like chicken and waffles?
Kind of like chicken and waffles. And I'm glad you said that, because Samurai Champloo is a mix of feudal era Japan and hip-hop.
Oh, well.
Let me tell you something. Samurai Champloo is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's voiced by, I think his name's David Lucas. He's got one of the best voice actors. He's up Kevin Conroy status with me.
Do any of the Wu-Tang Clan make guest apperances?
Oh man,
because you know they're really into
God,
samurai
I wish.
stuff.
I'll have to go back and see if they had anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, that'll be great. I know Kung, and if we weren't talking about cartoons, Kung Fu would be in my top 5.
Kung Fu.
Wu-Tang Clan did a show called Kung Fu.
Yeah, man. Like seriously, like they are
and they
into
go through,
like that stuff.
He's into it, but like they go through and they kind of they overdub old Kung Fu movies with their music and with their own script.
Oh,
it's
man.
so good.
Wow.
Anyways, okay, I'm going off track here. Oh, number 2, Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly. If you are a man listening to this and you are over the age of your 20s, that means at one point you've been 12 and you know what it's like to go through puberty. Watch Fooly Cooly, because it will make you feel all of that again. It'll only run 6 episodes, and it is the most incredible 6 episodes of anything you'll ever see. It is called Fooly Cooly. I'm not even going to give it any more than that. Just go watch it. Go watch it. 6 episodes.
All right, and you're 1+.
Okay, well, let me give one more thing to Fooly Cooly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You are going to be scratching your head after the first 6 episodes. I've watched this. Here's what's so cool about this. I've watched this show 8 times, bought it on Blu-ray, watched it again, watched it for the 9th time. I finally picked up everything in the show, and now I finally get it. You have to keep watching it to understand it. Because at first you're just going to be entertained by everything you see, but then there's all these subtext. You can go back and watch it again. And then you pick up more subtext, and then you start to understand what the story really is about. Watch it. Number 1+, Cowboy Bebop. This is another one from Shinichiro Watanabe.
Right.
Jazz, space. So it's a space pirate kind of premise where you have these space bounty hunters mixed with jazz. And it is my 1+, because Cowboy Bebop is one of the best shows ever produced on anything of all time ever to me.
Wow.
There we go. Honorable mention will be Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. But Ghost in the Shell is still going on, so
I've never seen a single one of those.
I implore you to reconsider that.
I've heard of Cowboy Bebop.
You need to watch it.
I've only heard Cowboy Bebop from this guy right here.
Well, I worked at Blockbuster for 5 years, so I got a chance to see at least the cover box.
Oh, okay, so you did see some of these.
For a lot of these.
Yeah,
I've seen the cover boxes, but I've never watched episodes.
It doesn't run. It only runs like I think 30 episodes. I could be wrong. And it has a feature length movie.
Yeah.
But it is one of the coolest shows, and it's one of those instances. As a matter of fact, all of these that I named here, it's one of those instances where the English dub voice actors are better than the Japanese, to me, or just as good as the Japanese voice actors.
It's pretty rare.
Because most of the time I enjoy watching subtitles because the Japanese voice actors are better. But in these, they really took the time to match everything up, and the English voices match.
I would say that about that Studio Ghibli stuff.
Ghibli, though, for sure, dude.
I prefer just the few that I've seen to see the originals with the original voice casting. But the ones that are the American ones are really good.
Yes,
I think.
They're fantastic.
I think they did a good job of the translations. And
when they really put time and effort into it, the English voice acting is just as good as the Japanese.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
All right, that was a good top 5 for anime. Thank you.
I could have a top 20, but
one thing I want to mention before we go here is last week we did something quite interesting. After giving CJ his gift of all the Predator movies, we decided that next night to all sit down and watch Predator 2.
Yeah! Let me tell you, the best thing was hearing you guys go, I forgot how good this movie was.
What are you talking about? We didn't say that.
No, he didn't. I fell asleep halfway into it.
We're all Predator 2 fans here. So any haters out there, go watch it.
No, that movie was crap. All right.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, if I want to be happy, I'll call my stepdaddy. Folks, John Stepp. This episode of Saturday Morning Samoflange is brought to you by our sponsor, Sweet Johnny Danger Stepp. And we are happy to have him as our sponsor, aren't we?
And he also happens to be a professional mover. If you got some stuff you don't want to schlep, call John Stepp.
Whoa! That was nice.
That was pretty nice.
Are you ready?
Am I ready?
Yeah.
If you're in need for some instant pep, call Danger Stepp.
Whoa!
Yeah! He'll take you some of that coffee from Wendy's.
Yeah, he will.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week on Saturday Morning Samoflange. Here we go again.
I don't know. What rhymes with step?
You want a guy to make fun of Johnny Depp? Call Johnny Stepp.
I know, right?
Does he make fun of Johnny Depp?
No.
If you want to
substitute, that's false advertising.
If you want to substitute for Johnny Depp, call Johnny Stepp.
Oh,
there you go.
I like that.
You should have used that one.